Coming up on Verse, Chorus, Verse, put on some jean shorts, Converse, take your shirt off, find some sand, get on your knees, and give me a fist bump, because Cornell and the gang are next. Welcome to First Chorus Verse. I am DL. Hello, everybody. I hope you're well. With me is Rachel, looking California polio. How are you today?
Hey, I'm so good. I'm so excited to record at 9 a.m. on a Saturday morning with my two best friends. That
anyone ever had. We can talk later about whose fault it is that we're having to record this morning.
Touche.
Also with us.
My bad. I take it back.
Is evil Phil in Minnesota, Jimmy.
I'm so
evil.
Minnesota.
Do you feel Minnesota? Are you, since your diet is 100% meat, which is very Midwestern?
I feel great.
You look great.
Yeah.
Let's talk about what you're currently digesting for 2 weeks.
So like the people who do like Meatless Monday or whatever, the vegan January, veganuary.
Wait. Is Meatless Monday an actual thing?
Yeah. It's 1,000%
like
thing.
People just go one day not eating meat, thinking that's going to do anything?
I think it's ceremonial more than anything else.
Here's the thing. With the impact that production, I eat meat. Let's just go with that. Let's start there. The impact on the environment that producing meat makes, if everyone in the world had one day a week where they didn't eat meat, it would take down carbon emissions like exponentially. And so that's why people do that. Not necessarily for like health or because they're being vegan that day.
I choose to subscribe to alternate facts about meat. So,
it's good to have.
Yeah, but you're not big on like cheap processed meat.
No. I grew up on a ranch. Like we grew our own cows. I would go like water them every day, fertilize them. So what I do, because I eat garbage a lot. I'll eat let me tell you a story about Trader Joe's dark chocolate peanut butter cups.
Oh my God, dude.
I like that's how garbage for you. Like the hippie store's organic peanut butter cups is like your vice.
Those are still terrible for you.
Yes. And I'll eat 2 bins of those things a week. Like those things. They're so good. That's
I could be okay with no sweets really ever if peanut butter cups didn't exist on this earth,
man.
But that and Sour Patch Kids. If it wasn't for those two things, I could go without sweets.
Sour Patch Kids, and I raid their rooms and get a handful of Sour Patch Kids. Like they will not know, and anyway. It's like vegan propaganda bullshit.
This has been Diet Corner with Verse, Chorus, Verse. Thank you, everybody.
That's what we do.
I don't think you came here for diet tips or to hear about what we do and don't eat. But hey, you also like us. You want to know us. You've said it yourself. So there you go.
I want to add one more thing. I would never prescribe what I do for anyone. I just know it works for me. But I also know that everybody's body's different. And so figure out what works for you, what makes you feel the best, and do that. That's best advice I think there is as far as diet. Let's stop talking about this and start talking about 4 young gentlemen that started a band in
Beatles.
Washington State. Nope. Not Washington State. Rachel.
David.
The band Soundgarden.
Yes.
Had you heard of them before studying for this? First question. Did you study for Soundgarden?
You're a real comedian, David.
I love how fake your laugh is anytime a joke about that happens.
As I studied for this, I kind of found that my relationship with Soundgarden was very much they influenced a lot of the bands that I listened to, and they were very much like background music, but it wasn't a band where I owned any albums, and it wasn't one that I listened to actively. And so
You
was
were
like,
you were young. When
yeah,
this band
I mean,
hit.
first album, I was a single digit kid.
Yeah.
And then when the banger hit, I think I was in junior high. So I was pretty
Banger.
young. The banger album.
We'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll get it.
We'll get into that. Already, I feel like we're gonna have words.
You know the good album.
Oh my God.
Evil, you and I have already had a lot to say about Soundgarden on this podcast. We did do an episode on Super Unknown with our good pal Johnny Vinyl, which a lot of great feedback on that episode. That was a fun one to do.
Yeah, really fun one to do. That's an okay album.
It's an okay album. We established that Evil loves it more than I think you said like top 5, maybe your favorite rock album of all time.
Album. Like
no
I
album.
think
That's right.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like not just Soundgarden, not just rock, not just like definitely top 5 album of all time, maybe favorite.
Yeah. Not
That's-
just favorite. I'd like best. Like I would. In
That's
the
a lot
Gladiator
of-
pit. I would throw that against most other albums. Do you remember like the BMG Columbia House?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Sign your life away. You'll receive a CD.
20 CDs.
Yeah. I remember seeing Bad Motorfinger when I first signed up for those. When I like first got as a, I don't know, however young I was, freshman, sophomore in high school, I got a Discman, like one of the first like Discmans, and I'm like, I need music, and I was still very much in kind of like the hair metal era, but grunge and alternative was like definitely on my radar. And I remember seeing Bad Motorfinger and being kind of afraid of it. Just like that album cover is violent. It's, but I ordered it, and I have been a fan ever since of the big four quote unquote grunge bands.
The Seattle bands.
They have always been my favorite. And they became one of my favorite bands, like almost immediately.
It's very understandable. It's very, very understandable.
I mean, yes.
I remember, I was really young too, but I do remember seeing Outshined on MTV. I remember that video. I remember Cornell shirtless on the beach, like, fucking kind of the same thing. Like almost, it was not scary, but it was a little too much for me. Like, I don't know if it's just because I was young or it's this whole like Seattle grunge thing. And I'm sure this will get brought up the whole next 2 hours, but this is not fucking grunge. This was like Bad Motorfinger is way more metal than fucking rock,
Yeah.
Like, and you got Chris Cornell just belting out this fucking, Getty Zeppelin shit. Like, I hadn't heard anybody modern day do anything like that. And then of course, Super Unknown, Down on the Upside comes out, and my life has never been the same.
Like listening to like Soundgarden in bulk, which I've never done before. I'm a fan of their albums. They all, like, back in the day, I probably listened to them as a collection of albums together more closely, but I've never like sat down and just binged Soundgarden before. And what it made me realize is how like the whole quote grunge thing, how much bullshit that was, because those four bands couldn't be more different in terms of like their sounded it. Like, they're all influenced by 70s, 80s rock for sure. Yeah, but if you were to categorize them back then,
for sure,
like Soundgarden was metal. They were like classic rock metal, like Pearl Jam, classic rock, Nirvana, punk, underground, filtered through some pop sensibilities. Alice in Chains was like the one sort of more modern sounding band. They're metal, but kind of more modern than the other three.
But if you go, so here's, and this is my take on it, is I think you're spot on, except I find it way more simple. I think if you go back and you listen to Alice in Chains and Soundgarden demos, from like 87 and 86 and shit like that. Metal of the times. They're Guns N' Roses.
Yes.
They're fucking
Yes.
Judas Priest, like shit like that. They're in absolute. And then yes, Nirvana is complete punk. It's total punk. And then the only one that was, I mean, you know, Mother Love Bone became Pearl Jam. Mother Love Bone was the only one that was kind of like a Jane's Addiction-y, just fucking something else, like something that nobody had really done. But the other ones are straight up like fucking early Alice in Chains. That is as like hairband butt rock 80s as you can fucking get, man.
Yeah,
and
that's true.
And I love them for it. Rachel, daunting, fun. What was it like to study for this?
Yes. It was both. It was a little daunting because as I started listening to albums, I realized how little I knew. But then the fun came in the rabbit holes of Soundgarden, you know, Seattle grunge, Phone Tree, I guess. And all of this band went on to influence all these other bands. And so for me, it wasn't a significant band in that it wasn't a band that I listened to, but this band influenced so many bands. They are so important in musical history and Seattle grunge and metal.
Episodes like this kind of scare me a little bit just because you know that a lot of the people that are listening love these guys so fucking much. And it's like, you don't want to disappoint people, or definitely don't want emails afterwards being, I mean, I don't care about the emails that are like, you know, actually Chris Cornell was 1986, blah, blah, blah. Sure. I don't give a fuck about that stuff. But the stuff that's like, hey man, you guys totally missed the point about Down on the Upside. I don't want that. I don't. People our age really, really care about bands like this. Like when fucking Chris Cornell died, dude, grown men were weeping everywhere.
That was rough.
And I get it, but with bands like this, they have a pretty wide discography for as long, you know, the short time period they were around. But it's like, you can't blame us because there's so much to cover and there's so many aspects of these bands that we're not missing the point. We're just not talking for 15 to 20 hours on one band. We've got about an hour and a half, 2 hours to do as much as we can.
Well, I agree. And I've had this thought before studying for different episodes, but this one, it really rang true. Is like, you know, what we do is we have conversations about music. And we drink.
Right.
That's the whole point. That is,
some of us drink.
I was going to say.
God damn it. Anyway, I think I front loaded my drinking in Puerto Rico. Anyway. So I am far less concerned with getting all of the facts right and being I have the coolest thing to say that I found. Right. I am more about exploring and talking and having conversations about stuff. Even like the rankings. Yes, we do rankings, but don't take what we say as like we are the authority. The
score isn't real and the points don't matter.
Exactly.
Yeah. If you want that, go fucking read Wikipedia. Go listen to what some in quotes professional critic has to say about the band.
See,
that's
Evil,
what you need.
This is why we should be on a podcast together, because I could not agree more with anything you've ever said than that. There's nothing worse than going to a pod and having him read off Wikipedia, except for fucking My Favorite Murder. For some reason, they make it work. I don't know how.
Love that.
But other than that, hey, Soundgarden, ladies and gentlemen, we're talking about everything Soundgarden. We're skipping over Super Unknown. If you want to hear us talk about that in great detail, go listen to the episode with Johnny Vinyl, which is a blast. He knocked it out of the park. He was amazing. He was spectacular. We've dilly-dallied enough. We're a half hour in. We got to get to the most important part of the morning. What are we drinking? Just so you guys know, we have a long fucking day ahead of us. We've got, this is most certainly going to be a two-parter. And then after this, we are going to do our quick fire reviews for Q1, which are my favorite episodes. Maybe not this time. Fucking get on your shit, bands. Good God. But that's neither here nor there. Evil, I really hope I'm not the only one drinking. Rachel keeps lifting up this water. It scares me. Evil, what are you drinking this morning?
Coffee. I'm having some Midnight Mule coffee.
What kind of blend is that?
Blend. It's a delicious dark, some kind of blend.
Nice. Where are the beans from?
Coffee beans. It's probably a coffee plant somewhere.
They're from coffee. From coffee.
It's a local roaster. He
Gotcha.
Cool story. He literally would like ride around in the Boise foothills or walk around with a fucking mule.
Oh.
And sell coffee to people like hikers and shit. And
that's
then
fun.
It just got bigger and bigger and bigger.
Rachel, so we got a dark roast. Rachel.
Yeah.
What are you drinking?
You know, I'm compensating for my friend Evil and his drinking by over drinking. So
Oh, okay. You've made up for what happened last week then. Good job.
I was at the Winco last night. I have a box of please hold. Of wine. It is
Okay.
Vibe by Vendage.
That is not wine.
It is wine.
like
It's grape
blue
wine.
raspberry.
It's grape wine with natural flavors. It says so right there in the small print. And then it says blue raspberry lemonade. It's 12%. I figured 6 for me, 6 for Evil. I don't know if I need to shake this. I feel like it's equivalent to 3 5.6 ounce glasses of wine. So 3. Yeah, I'm gonna chug it, and then I will not work the other half of this episode or the next one.
It's very wow, blue raspberry lemonade wine. It's very
my God.
Mad Dog 2020.
That is horrible.
What?
That's bad.
It's amazing.
Man.
Lemonade and wine, that classic pairing.
It's very Eastern
fine.
European of you.
Also, side point. I apologize.
No, you're good.
I had a lavage in my shoulder on Tuesday, so they like stabbed a needle in there and like exploded some built up calcium. So I can't use this arm. So when you see me drink, I'm going to be doing this, lifting my arm because I can't lift this arm on my own.
Oh my God.
So it's going to be real amusing.
I am drinking boozy coffee. I am also compensating for Evil. I've got 2 ounces of that Resurgent botanical whiskey that I've been putting in my coffee, which is just fucking spectacular. It is coffee bean and chicory root infused whiskey, and it's really I usually don't like coffee whiskey in coffee. It's just it makes it like overly bitter, but something about this one really fucking works. It's delicious. So it's some heavy cream, some booze, and some Mount Holler Stumptown coffee.
Nice.
Which I'm a big medium roast guy. So we've got a dark roast, medium roast. Rachel, what are you?
I'm a light roast, and it's not because I'm a pussy. It's because
we're like Papa Bear, Baby Bear, and Mama Bear.
The light roast is higher in caffeine, so it's not as burnt of a taste, over roasted-y.
We should probably talk about the band we came here to talk about, everybody.
40 minutes
Soundgarden. Yes. Soundgarden. We love them. You love them. So let's all just talk about how fucking great they are. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. Are back. Hey, let's do a friendship test, and I think this is going to be a good one because it's really going to say how good of friends we are, because I think we know. Rachel, what are Evil and I's favorite Soundgarden albums?
I think Evil's is Ultra Mega Okay. I just like
You're
looking at it.
Ultra Mega full of shit.
And I think David's, I think yours is Bad Motor Finger.
Wait, is that your serious answer?
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, like 15 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, we talked about how Super Unknown is literally his favorite, the best album of all time.
To be fair, I assume that we were doing the ones that are covered in this.
I was going to ask that question too.
So that's why I went with that.
No, I want to include Super Unknown because you don't know if it's mine or Rachel.
Super Unknown.
Not
okay,
DLs.
Gotcha.
No, it's not DLs.
It's not.
Jimmy's a better friend.
I just listen.
Shit. That's fair.
Okay, so
part of
Evil,
friendship.
what are the answers for Rachel and I?
Well, if we're including Super Unknown, I'll say hers is Super Unknown. If not, I picked King Animal as hers.
Super Unknown's got to count. We got to count it.
If it counts, then that's for sure
That
hers.
should have been in
And
the notes.
Yours is down on the upside.
Gotcha.
Oh.
And it didn't matter. Both years I would have said Super Unknown anyway. So you didn't like give anything away, Rachel. But yeah, Super Unknown. So let's talk about the Shemps,
Oh,
shall
I
we?
have a question.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah. What would you guys pick for me if Super Unknown was off the table?
Bad
Oh,
Motorfinger.
okay.
Okay. Good.
Obviously.
I would think about Louder Than Love for about 30 seconds, but then I would go to Bad Motorfinger. The Shemps, right? Where Chris Cornell was a drummer slash singer.
Right.
How about that?
Yeah.
Little
How very
little
Bill
unfortunate
Collins of him.
that didn't work out. Yes. Soundgarden started. Sub Pop signed them. They weren't originally with Sub Pop. That's also another funny thing about Soundgarden is that they're known as one of the Sub Pop bands, but they didn't start with Sub Pop.
No.
They were with a much fucking larger label first, which is I'm really, really glad that they went to Sub Pop. Should we just start from their EP and work our way up, I guess, so we can go like 1987 and work our way up? Did you guys listen to the EP? Have you listened to Briefly?
Yeah.
Rachel, did you listen to FOP?
I did not listen to FOP.
You didn't listen to FOP?
No.
Or Screaming Life? Okay. So 1987, they come out with Screaming Life. Yes, 87, and then they added FOP to it in 90, right? Yes, thank you. Sorry, my notes are a little jumbled. I have a lot of them. We don't want to waste our time with the labels and stuff because we don't care, right? Like they had label complications. That was all the rage in the punk scene, back in the day. That's actually one thing that helped them out a lot is they got on a couple of those, like those small labels did these late 80s punk compilations all the time. They were massive in the late 80s. Like my Uncle Dan has so many fucking cool compilations and they got on a couple of them. And that is kind of where they got heard. Then they end up being Soundgarden and it's really, for as crazy as this band's story is, not a lot of drama. I mean, there's, we'll get...
Well,
no.
I disagree.
Go on.
Okay.
Bassist drama.
Yes. No, that's a good point.
Which, was pivotal in, like, there are two, like, events that I think are pivotal because of bassist drama.
I was going to say, it's kind of the drama that was not just their replacement of a bass player, but their prominent bass player, that we all know and love in Ben, was just kind of a fucking crazy fucking dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He was insane. He is insane. I always talk about these people like they're fucking dead just because their band's not together anymore.
Yeah.
In Super Unknown, the episode, we do kind of a breakdown through that episode of member to member in Chris, Kim, Matt, and Ben. And we do talk about Ben being fucking crazy. Ben joining in, 90? Yes. Joined in 90. Hiro Yamamoto was the bass player before then.
Yeah.
And Evil, is that are you counting the replacement of bass players as one of the...
Well, so yeah, because Hiro kind of like divorced himself from the band and then they record Louder Than Love and he just fucking bails. And then they recruit Everman, who played in Nirvana. There's a lot of cross-pollination. And then like booted him. They're like, he's not that good. But here's the thing is they actually auditioned Shepard before Everman.
Really?
And he wasn't a bass player. He played guitar. So he fucking, when they brought him on, he was learning how to play bass.
Oh my God.
Right. Yeah. So, and anyway, we'll talk more about him
That's
when we
insane.
get to Motorfinger.
Do you guys know how to get a good bass player?
How, David?
Hire a guitar player.
Yeah, there you go.
The bassists that listen to this are going to love that joke. They're going to love it.
Do you know how the bass player got the drummer out of the car that was locked?
How?
He used the keys to break the window and then unlocked the door and opened it and got him out.
I don't get it.
The joke
Use
is
the keys to
the
break the
drummer
window.
couldn't get out of the locked car by himself, and the bass player used the keys to break the window instead of just.
Sorry, I'm a drummer. I don't. No, I'm not really a drummer. I'm just stupid. Rachel, your fandom was always, what would you call it? I guess now that we've established it, like background fandom or.
Yeah, I mean, it's not something that I would ever turn off of TRL or, you know, MTV, like whenever a video came on or something.
I loved those Soundgarden TRL segments. Yeah. Those were the best.
They were on TRL. It's fine. But like,
wait, were they really?
Yeah. It's nothing that I would. It's nothing.
Wait. Why are we blowing past that Soundgarden was on TRL?
I bet their video. I don't know if them were. I'm sorry.
It's gonna be a good day.
We've still got like 3 hours at least. Is it warm? It's warm.
It's getting there.
Yes. No, nothing that I would ever turn off, but nothing that I would turn on purpose. And if fast forwarding were a thing, I don't know if I'd fast forward through them. But
too heavy?
No, because not necessarily. I would say early Soundgarden would have been too heavy for me, but I didn't know them until the mid 90s, until the grunge, their transition into more out of metal and into the grunge kind of feel.
Mm-hmm. And then now that you have, sorry, I'm concentrating on you a lot because I like that you got to come into this as kind of a bit of a, not a noob, but somebody that hadn't really sat down and listened to it.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
what would you consider yourself now as far of a fan? And you don't have to don't kiss our listeners' asses. Like, are you into it?
Yes, I think. I don't think that I would, again, I don't think I'd be searching through Spotify looking for Soundgarden, but I do love that, like, my day list has included them amongst other like Seattle grunge 90s stuff. And so it works well in like playlists for me. I'm not going to pick up one of these albums probably and play it front to back though.
To me, that is very fair.
Yeah.
So we will go in a little bit. We will go through their discography album by, thank you. Album by album. But yeah, essentially it's a very, very typical 80s band story. Started in 84. They lasted until, typical until you get to their 15-year hiatus. That's a pretty long fucking hiatus.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about the side projects too. But yeah, Ultra Mega okay, Louder Than Love. They had the EP, and then they get to Bad Motorfinger, and that's kind of when the whole industry said, "Oh, okay, these guys are going to be." I barely remember this because I was so young, but I do know that when Mother Love Bone was a thing, they were going to be it. They were going to be the next fucking. They were going to be the band that led the charge out of Seattle to the world.
Right.
And then of course fucking Andrew Wood dies and Nevermind comes out, and I'm not saying that Nevermind's big because Mother Love Bone. I'm not saying that. Like, Nevermind was going to be Nevermind.
Are you saying that everyone was like, "Oh my God, Mother Love Bone," and they're like, "Oh, Nevermind"?
You're an idiot.
No, that's actually exactly what I'm saying.
That's what
exactly what I'm saying. That's pretty perfect. And then, but what nobody really saw coming, and I think what threw everybody off, and I like how I'm talking about this like it's some new thought, that all of a sudden you had these other bands that sounded like nothing else in Alice in Chains, and that other band that came on after Mother Love Bone, and this one, Soundgarden.
Right.
That other band just released an album yesterday too.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to listen to the full thing yet, but
Looking forward to listening to it. I actually really am. I've heard good things. Matt Cameron. That's where I was heading. Matt Cameron's second. Actually, should we save that for side projects? It's an okay side project, I guess.
He's done okay with
You're
that.
silly.
As a side project.
He's not the most successful drummer to come out of the Seattle era, but even though there's a man that I want to say, because of personal bias, Cameron, I think, is definitely Cameron might be the best musician, period, to come out of that era.
Dude, he's so fucking good.
He's insane. He's unique. He's inventive. He can do anything. Kind of out of the spotlight too, which I don't know. I just like. Soundgarden, Evil, since they've been such a huge part of your life, do you have specific times where they've influenced you, or very specific, like photographic memory? I remember I was here when I saw this or heard this, and sort of situation.
So little quirky things. Like I remember the version of Bad Motorfinger, the CD that I had, it was, for whatever reason, the CD substrate was like thicker than other CDs, and it I had to push it to clink onto the sort of round
push
disc.
into the thing.
Yeah, it took most CDs you just put it in the player and it clicks in. It required force. I had to be active with it, and it was just a different it felt different than all of my other CDs. I remember that. I know, that's bizarre, weird tactile thing.
180 gram CD. Nice.
Yeah, exactly. I remember the spring of '94 when Super Unknown came out, and hearing Spoon Man and just being like, holy fucking shit, this band is, they are on another level. I do remember that. And I followed most of them throughout side projects, and I followed the band. Love their catalog. Was bummed when they called it quits. Super excited when they got back together, and King Animal was, I was really excited for that. And I'll talk more about that when we get to that album. And then, of course, Chris dies, and it's oh my God, we have lost such a talent. And I think they had more music in them. I think they had a lot more music in them.
Yeah, I agree. Very much agree. Soundgarden is, Bad Motorfinger, of course, was one of those CDs that I'm saying that a lot this year because we're covering 94, and a lot of the albums that we're covering were just staples. And Bad Motorfinger was that album that, at my house, that CD was just always on the CD player. It was just right there because somebody was going to want to listen to it. I remember that. And then, of course, the big one that I'm sure I've talked about before on the podcast, but I got my first guitar when I was, I don't know, however old I was, a year and a half before Down on the Upside came out. So 11 and then for Christmas, I got a tablature book for Down on the Upside. And that's how I learned guitar.
Jesus
so
Christ.
Yeah. So all those fucking insane tunings and Kim being Kim, that was my first, I'll get to more of that later, but that was my first, oh shit, this is how you play guitar. And that's, that's the reason that I am such an amazing guitar player or terrible guitar player. That's for you to decide.
Funny. I kind of wondered because trying to learn Soundgarden songs, trying to learn music and guitar to Soundgarden songs is fucking insane.
Mm-hmm.
It's picking up a guitar and be like, I want to learn how to play guitar. Let's learn Van Halen 1. You know, like
yes.
It's like jumping in the deep into the pool.
Let's read this Frank Zappa tab and play some Zappa. Yes. It doesn't make it's fucking weird.
Yeah.
But it's, you know,
it's no hot cross buns.
It's not.
Another thing about them, they are one of the first bands that really challenged me in terms of like expanding how I listen to music and my taste, because they play odd time signatures and they make it sound effortless and they make it sound like it's normal.
Yes.
That's the thing, is they trick you into thinking, but then you're listening to it and you're like,
what the fuck?
what's happening here?
Yes. Yeah. They make it they like normalize some seriously weird musical shit.
Yeah.
Yes. No, they in absolute they do. In absolute. And I think that's what made them that's what made them so different. Is, you know, they were kind of the exact opposite of what Nirvana did. Nirvana stripped everything down and said, look, what happened to fucking 3-chord punk rock where we were just angry kids? And Soundgarden was like, what happened to not doing fucking 4/4 and power chords and, you know, just doing different shit? They were kind of the opposite.
Hey, let's tune every string to E and see what happens, you know?
Exactly. I mean, in the end, we have Cornell singing, so let's just do whatever the fuck we want. But yes, Rachel, our resident lyric head.
Yeah.
Are the lyrics good in Soundgarden?
Yes. They have a way of having these lyrics that are very, very simple, but they're very introspective. They're thought-provoking. They create this really vivid imagery where they paint this picture for you, but they leave enough room that's open to interpretation for the listener. Like it's not like they're giving it to you, but they're showing it to you, I guess.
That is what she said a lot. But no, you're totally right. They did have that 90s lyric, like, we got to be super vague about what we're saying kind of thing. Totally. But man, there's some good fucking lyrics.
Yeah.
The moon is glued to a picture of heaven and all the little pigs have God.
Yeah.
That's there. He has some one-liners that are crazy, and he has a ton of lyrics that to this day I don't even think he knew what the fuck he was saying.
There's, I think, a lot of inside jokes.
Yeah.
Like even like Ultra Mega OK, that title's it's like an inside joke.
That's an inside joke.
Yeah.
Like they're kind of tongue in cheek in their approach to a lot of the stuff that they're doing.
Yeah.
Both lyrically and musically.
Ty Cobb.
Right.
Him just, I mean, I love Ty Cobb. Him just yelling hard-headed fuck you all that's amazing.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a lot of songs like that where they are a little punkish in where they're having fun with it, man. They are, for as serious as their music sounds, they goof off a lot.
Mm-hmm.
They do goof off, but they also have like these like the string of seriousness through their lyrics of like you have like Rusty Cage where you have this like symbolism of the cage, and it's not just like a regular cage, it's like this worn, battered, like beat up
Rusty
patinaed cage to show
them
like
and the B-52s, man.
Yeah.
A lot of rust going on. You have the whole song of Outshined, which is one of my favorite songs lyrically of all time. I'm feeling that I'm sober even though I'm drinking. I can't get any lower. Still, I feel I'm sinking. Holy fuck.
Yeah.
Like that's goddamn. Hemingway would have written that towards the end.
Yeah.
If he didn't have so many cats to feed, he would have written that. I do think. Phil in Minnesota, looking skip that, reverse it. But though, like, I half know what that means. I don't think I do know what it means. And it's like one of my favorite lines in a song ever. We talked about Matt Cameron and how insane he is. He reminds me a lot of Kim. They're not shredders. they're not trying to impress everybody. They pick their spaces. They are minimal a lot of times. And then there are certain songs where they go batshit crazy.
Yeah.
You, Evil, you're a guitar guy. Where is Kim on the amazing to whatever scale for you?
Well, he's like
Eddie Van Halen being
he's
up
on a
here.
different scale. He doesn't.
Who's down here? If Eddie Van Halen's up here for you, who's down here?
The bottom?
Yeah, who's a shitty guitar player that you hate?
Oh my God.
There's so many.
I don't focus on hate. I don't focus on what I love.
Oh, I know that's not true.
That is a tough one. I've never actually thought about that before. Like, who do I
haven't
hate
either.
as a guitar player? I think there's just some basic bitches playing guitar.
Yikes.
You know what I mean? Like, just like
I do.
Modern rock is full of just chords through choruses.
Yes.
And it's so unimaginative.
Yeah.
And overproduced.
Yeah.
But it's watered down to be a hit of the time, and no one's going to remember it. It might be big in the moment. I dislike that. I'm not going to pick. I don't know any individual players that I won't identify. But that's what I don't like.
I shouldn't even said that. My first question was better. Where do you put Kim?
He's not on that scale. He does this completely different thing. Yeah. He's there's some fucking killer riffs and stuff, but he's like the textural, like the Middle Eastern influence and the weird turnaround riffs that he plays.
Fucking half on Super Unknown.
Dude.
What the fuck is that even? You know?
I mean, he's more, and this is not a direct comparison, but he's more like, in terms of like the textures and stuff he adds, it's more like prog rock, like Robert Fripp, or even the texture like the Edge brings to you too. I know you're
absolutely right.
He's like a metal version of that. I don't put him in like the pantheon of guitar players because he's doing a different thing. He's playing a different type of guitar.
I have a whole new level of respect after studying for this episode. I mean, I've been listening to Soundgarden my whole life, but like you said, I haven't just sat down and really studied the music. I did not realize until studying how fucking prog they are. They are so prog, and there were influences that hit me while I was listening that I would have never thought of in a million years until I was studied for this. Yeah. So I think that alone speaks to how amazing they are. And you already talked about when they brought in Ben Shepherd and how incredible he was for them. Was there anything, Rachel, that stuck out for you as far as musicianship?
I guess we'll talk about this when it comes along, but the transition to Ben Shepherd, because I love a good bass, was very noticeable to me.
Yeah.
And then you guys kind of covered Kim, but as far as Chris Cornell being able to like just rage and be like gritty and angry, but also have like these beautiful melodies to like fit whatever mood that song was, is just like this beautiful Jekyll and Hyde that not everybody is able to do. Like, he's really great at both, and he has this like gigantic range.
Gigantic. And I think that's when I think about the musicianship with Soundgarden, it's funny. Chris Cornell's ability is always just kind of a throwaway. Like, it's always it's hard to explain, but I'm thinking about musicianship. Yeah. You don't think about the lead singer, and then you go back to thinking, oh wait, they have Chris Cornell. Like, it's like a fucking cheat code. It's crazy. And that's not even talking about his writing, his guitar, he's fucking amazing at guitar. Like, so yeah, they're okay musicians.
They're fine.
Evil, this is a tough question. I'm going to ask you. Is there an obvious best period of Soundgarden?
Oh, from 91 to 96, that 3-album run, Bad Motorfinger, Super Unknown, Down on the Upside, I would put that against any other 3-album runs ever in terms of like what other musician or artist has put out 3 albums back to back to back that fucking good in that time period, like 91 to 96. That's a 5-year time period, basically. Like, what the fuck?
It's like,
and with like they're all distinctly different albums too. So there is a progression through that.
yes. The only one, so you asked this and I didn't look anything up. I did try to think. The only ones that I could come up with by myself in my head were Stevie Wonder and David Bowie. And that's not bad. That's not a bad crowd to be in. It's Stevie Wonder, David Bowie, the Beatles, and you. Yeah, that's okay. No, it's an insane run. I don't think there's a best era. I do think that I think early live Soundgarden is fucking amazing. And I don't know, maybe it's just because a lot of their later stuff live, it's kind of what you're expecting. But if you find and listen to their early live stuff, it's just, you immediately are flashed into one of those small Seattle clubs and just imagining seeing these guys and just getting your fucking ass kicked. Like, they are just insane live. And that's just like, that's not even seeing them. That's just listening to them on some fucking playlist. It's crazy how fucking cool their early live stuff was. We're going to take a quick break. I've got a couple more questions and then we're going to go album to album, baby. In the nexty. It doesn't fit. You guys don't care.
The nexty?
Just watch both episodes, you dipshits. We'll take a break. We'll be right back. We're back. Hi, everybody. Let's talk a little Audio Slave. Rachel,
That came into
what are your thoughts? What are your thoughts on Audio? Hey, Slave.
Hey. Good. Interesting. I love Rage. And so with that, I didn't hate Audio Slave, although I also love Zach. So that was kind of a hard mix. I'm never like a huge like mega band fan, because I always feel like you're taking the best or really, really great artists and mashing them together. But I always feel like something is missing, even though you have Chris Cornell, you don't have Zach, and it's hard.
Yeah, I would akin it. I agree, and I would akin it to another super band that came out around that time in Velvet Revolver, where they're gonna have a couple fucking amazing songs.
Sure,
but I agree. There's just something there that doesn't. I hear that guitar and I want fucking Zach, or I hear Chris Cornell's voice and I want fucking Kim back there.
Yeah.
Right.
But I'm very intrigued by your thoughts on Audio Slave Evil, because I felt like you could go either way on loving them or really not liking them at all.
I remember when they were announced, I was stoked. I'm like, fuck yeah.
Yeah.
And I got a hold of like demos. This is back when Napster days, stealing music was
all the rage.
The norm. Yeah, all the rage against the machine. Cochise is a fucking banger. Come on.
It's amazing. It's amazing.
It is so good.
Yeah. That's what I was talking about. That's one of those songs that oh fuck. Well, we get that out of it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I remember being into it at the time, but I feel like Audioslave didn't age well for me. But here's the thing, is when I listen to it, when I turn it on, I'm like, oh, this is good. But I think there's just like some nostalgia. Like, that's probably latent from listening to those albums when they first came out and being really into them at that point in time. But I don't feel compelled to go I'm going to listen to Audioslave today. But if it comes on, I'm like, fuck, that's pretty good.
Yeah.
I don't seek it out, but I'm not going to kick it out of bed if it crawls in.
So that's exactly what was my notes on it, was that it just didn't age well for me. I think it's one of those bands that was very of that time. Yeah. I was not as impressed as a lot of people were with their I Am the Highway. I don't fucking care about that song at all. I don't give a shit about that boring ass song. But they did. They had songs like Cochise, which was fucking Cochise was amazing. It's just like, it's God, it's exactly like Velvet Revolver. Their big song was fucking amazing too. It doesn't matter.
Like
who cares? We're not.
Slither and Let Me Free.
Yes. Yeah.
They had a couple
Slither.
bangers too, but
They did. It's the same thing. It didn't age well for me either. Let's do Ultra Mega OK.
Okay.
And then we will go on to episode 2. Rachel,
David.
why don't you start it? We're not covering the EP. We're going straight to Ultra Mega.
Yeah.
Rachel, do you want to get us started on Ultra Mega?
I can.
Okay.
So Ultra Mega OK, 1988. Soundgarden was hanging out. A couple record labels were like, sign with us. And they signed with some very tiny independent SST. Ultra Mega OK, it came out on Halloween 1988. They didn't love this album, hence the name of... They didn't love the production of this album, hence the name Ultra Mega OK. It was a little tongue-in-cheek. The guy that did this, his name was a name.
It was a name. Drew Canulet.
Why do I not have that written down? Anyway, so
it's all right.
He didn't get the vibe of Soundgarden at the time. And Soundgarden had said, this is not what we sound, that we don't like this. Steve Huey of All Music said it sounds like Stooges meets Black Sabbath / Zeppelin. And so...
I mean, sign me up.
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
However, they did get a Grammy for Best Metal Performance off of this album. Despite,
Did they really?
Despite them not liking this, yes.
Holy shit. I didn't know that. They got a Grammy from Ultra Mega OK.
Yeah.
Wow.
Nomination.
No.
Oh,
nomination. Yes.
Oh,
yes,
no.
Sorry. No,
Yeah,
you're right.
nomination.
No,
Yeah,
nomination. Oh, interesting.
They went on tour with this, and then they're like, we're going to sign with A&M. And then that was a thing for a while. So when they went on tour, they hung out with Soundgarden. People thought they were selling out at this point. And they no longer belonged to the Seattle scene. Anyway, back to the album.
People are so stupid.
This got positive reviews, although, it wasn't anything that, 94, 96 was going to bring. So people liked it, but it wasn't...
Positive to mediocre.
It wasn't huge media attention on this guy. This album it's not the Soundgarden that I remember, that a lot of people remember, because it was a little pre-grunge. It was really heavy in the metal, punk rock, and a little alternative. It wasn't super grungy quite yet. But it did lay the groundwork for their evolution. That's one thing that I really love about Soundgarden is, you asked Evo before if there was what's the best period? And it's a very hard question because their sound evolved so much. They had every album. There wasn't a copy paste of albums. There were different sounds in all of them. And so it's like your children. At times you love different ones for different reasons. And this was
a lot of vegetables growing in their garden of sound.
Yes.
Okay.
This album, even though it was a little heavier, it helped establish them with the grunge group at the time, because they had this much grunge, and they would grow eventually into that same scene as we see Pearl Jam and Nirvana coming out of. So,
no, I very much see where they were in the, in them infamously not liking this album. It's very, there's Beyond the Wheel. There's a very early Portland sound to this album.
I can see that.
It doesn't really sound like them. Like Circle of Power just sounds like a completely different band. They sound a lot more like you can hear great influences. Like you hear the Prongs and Killing Joke and Ozzy. Like Ozzy is one of those influences that popped up everywhere when I was studying for this that I hadn't really thought of. Like so much Ozzy Osbourne in Soundgarden. But yeah, it doesn't, with the exception of what was it? Oh, Mood for Trouble, which is basically Pinball Wizard by The Who. But I fucking absolutely love it. But yeah, it's so much more prog. Evil, what are your thoughts on Ultra Mega? Okay.
Question for you two. Did you listen to it on Spotify?
Yes.
I want to talk about this. Yes, I did.
Because what is broadly available is the 2017
Remaster.
Yep.
Yeah.
remaster from the original tapes. Which is what I started listening to. I had never given this album a go because I remember listening to the original version, the one that they didn't like, and being like, this sounds awful. It just doesn't sound good, like sonically, not the music, the production. And so I had never really dove into it.
Would you knock it off? You know what I hate? I hate
Lots of
Spotify. I hate this fucking super mega extended version, whatever. Here's the 30 song. Here's the live. Can you at least give me the option of just the original fucking album, please?
Yeah.
This was so hard because I'd always have to go to YouTube because all Spotify has with Soundgarden is the re-released with the extra tracks, blah, blah.
Right.
I don't want that fucking shit. God damn it. I hate it so
agree.
much.
Now I want both options. To your point, is I want both.
Yeah,
I want
fair.
everything. I want it all, and I want it now.
I want it all.
Right? Yeah. This was a tough one for me because it's really my first experience with it, and it's a grower, not a shower. It might be one that I will like fall in love with over time, but immediately I'm like, not bad. Not a bad effort.
Right.
He's not a bad. He's okay.
Is it?
What's the best song on Ultra Mega OK?
Do you want me to start?
Mine's Mood for Trouble. I wasn't being sarcastic with the Pinball Wizard thing. I fucking love it to death. I'd probably buy that vinyl just for that song alone because I love it so much. It's like Good Who.
Yeah. Good Who.
I'm gonna start my anger relationship with Who fans all over again from season 1.
I like that they covered Howlin' Wolf on here, number 1.
Of course.
Smokestack Lightning.
Yes.
But I think the best is Flower. I think it was the single for a reason.
That's the opener, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like the most immediately accessible, like, oh yeah, this sounds like pretty good Soundgarden to me.
Totally. Rach, what's your favorite song on the album?
I wrote down 1 minute of silence because I'm an asshole.
So you didn't like this?
No, it was fine, but not really. If I had to pick a song, I would say He Didn't, because the drumming and the guitar.
Oh no, he didn't.
Kind of fire. But it wasn't the Soundgarden I remember, so I didn't really love this album.
Hey, that's the first album. We got Ultra Mega OK out of the way. We got a whole other episode. Join us again on Thursday. We're going to talk about the rest of the albums. We're going to rank some songs and albums, and then we're going to go away forever until Monday. Nope, Friday. Sorry. We'll be back the next day on YouTube. On YouTube.
You'll be back.
Hey, everybody. It's been real. Rachel, I'll see you in 10 seconds.
Yeah, how about that?
Evil, finger guns, 10 seconds.
Got both
Love
of them
it.
for you.
Pew.
You're a single barrel. I'm a double barrel. Interesting. David is... Jesus.
David is Space Gun.
He is.
We love you. Good night and good luck.